And I'll just finish that thought. I'm really glad I didn't grow up watching sports because there's a lot of marks in sports,
sure,
right?
Yeah.
Like you're wearing jerseys with guys' names across the back.
That's me.
Yeah. So you love sports, right?
Outside of wrestling, huge sports guy.
Yeah. And so I've never really had a feeling like I would be starstruck, like if I met anybody. And the nice thing is with wrestling, it's like you can be a wrestling fan, but also like not get too lost in the sauce. Because if you really are like a true fan and you respect it for what it is, you also know that these are guys that are, amplifying a persona,
sure. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
so I don't think would get too starstruck, but I'm sure I say that now,
Well, I'll tell you my latest encounter with a celebrity athlete was, in my opinion, the greatest professional athlete in the history of the world. And that is the 17-time world champion hot dog eating contest winner, Joey Chestnut.
I thought you were going to say the never seen 17. You met Joey Chestnut?
I met Joey
that would
Chestnut.
be cool.
It was fantastic. And he was super cool. He was a really nice guy. Took a picture with him. I randomly passed him in the Chicago O'Hare Airport.
Recognized
I
him.
did.
It wasn't like, hey, do you know who that is?
Nope. I walked past him and I said, wait a second, that's Joey Chestnut. So I turned around and I said, Joey? And he turned around and I said, dude, I'm a massive fan. And it's true, I watch the hot dog eating contest every year. I got a picture with him. We chatted for a few minutes. It was awesome. I sent the picture to my kid with no comment attached. And he said, oh my God, Dad, you got to meet Joey? Like,
that is cool.
That's how often every single year, every single 4th of July, we watch the Nathan's hot dog eating contest, and it was tremendous. So
I suppose we ought to tell everybody who the hell we're talking to here and what we got going on. If you don't recognize him, well, first of all, shame on you, but we've got Marek Brave here in the studio in Wilton, Iowa. Marek Brave of Black and Brave Wrestling Academy, also SCWPro wrestering promotion.
Yes, sir.
The wrestling promotion in this area, possibly the Midwest.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Marek and I just finally got to meet each other face-to-face last Saturday at an SCWPro event at the Wildwood Saloon in Iowa City. And I've been talking a lot behind your back, so it was nice to meet you and to talk to you face to face.
Hopefully all good things.
It was all good. Yeah, we've got it. We've had a chance to meet some of the wrestlers that perform. They wrestle at SCWPro. They've been in on the show we've been doing some stuff with Neoplex Wrestling, and which, by the way, this will be on Neoplex Wrestling as well. Awesome. And it's just been a fun kind of little journey into independent wrestling world.
Yeah, definitely a niche form of entertainment. Some would call it the minor leagues of what you can find through AEW or WWE. But a lot of guys, a lot of girls get their starts on the independents, and we've had plenty of people come through SCW over the years and then make it to the big time, most notably, obviously, of course, my business partner, Seth Rollins, who is the current WWE World Heavyweight Champion. His very first match took place at SCWPro in August of 2003, so 22 years ago. But it shows you where people start and where they can get to if they work hard and maybe get a little luck along the way as well.
I got to tell you, I get a little bit of a jolly every time they say from Davenport, Iowa. Yep. And the Seth freaking Rollins part is neat, but the Davenport, Iowa part is really neat to me. Like it's just, it's super cool, man. You can take a lot of pride in that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do personally take pride in that. I've known him. We've been friends for a very long time. Had our first pro wrestling matches on the very same event, which would be the first SCWPro event. And then obviously we became a tag team called the Black and the Brave. And we traveled all across the Midwest together. Unfortunately, I suffered a significant neck injury, which caused me to kind of slow down a little bit.
What happened?
That's a pretty in-depth story. So,
well, I mean, give me some notes from it.
Sure. Yeah. So like I said, Seth and I, at the time, he was known as Tyler Black, and obviously I'm Marek Brave, so that's where Black and Brave comes from. We were an up and coming tag team in the Midwest, gaining some notoriety and kind of getting bookings all over the place and creating some buzz. So we were invited to try out for what I would consider maybe even the largest independent promotion at the time, but it's hard to say it was an independent promotion because this promotion was signing people to contracts, right? So we were invited to try out to essentially earn a contract for Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor is now an arm of AEW, but at the time they were their own promotion.
I guess I didn't know that. That's kind of cool. All right.
And that was a massive deal at the time. This would have been 2007, so a handful of years after we started wrestling together. And the tryout match happened down in a city called Melbourne, Florida. So we drove from Davenport, Iowa, up to Chicago, picking up another 3 wrestlers, actually, and then driving all the way down to Melbourne, Florida. Actually, we drove to Tampa first. We wrestled in Tampa on the first night, had a fantastic time. Ended up doing singles matches. I wrestled Mark Briscoe, and Seth wrestled Jay Briscoe. And then the very next night, we challenged for the tag team titles of this independent promotion in Florida that's associated, or at the time was associated with Ring of Honor. And during that match, unfortunately, there was a move gone wrong. I went to go, I was sitting on Jay Briscoe's shoulders. Rest in peace. He did pass away a couple of years ago in a car accident. So rest in peace, Jay. I was sitting on his shoulders, went backwards to try and flip him over the top of me. And instead of flipping, he just kind of fell backwards on top of me, which wasn't supposed to happen. I landed on my forehead, but upside down on my forehead with another 200-pound man on top of me. Oh. And if you pause the video at the perfect time, you see the back of my head touch in between my shoulder blades. It looks like I was completely decapitated. So I ended up getting stretchered out of the ring, taken to the hospital. Now I'm a 20-year-old kid at the time, no health insurance. You know, I don't recommend that.
Will you pull that up while Marek's talking? Can you pull that up on the TV,
I'm
Parker?
not 100%.
Is it on
sure.
YouTube?
I'm not 100% sure that's actually on YouTube.
We gotta find it though.
Yeah.
It's got to be somewhere. But
we'll see.
Anyway,
I've got it on DVD at my house. I might be able to at least take a video recording.
Take a video of the video and text me the video, man.
Yeah. It was gnarly. I ended up getting taken to the hospital. They find out I don't have insurance. They don't give me very good care. They just do an X-ray. Oh, you didn't break anything. You're good to go. I had to get dressed in the lobby of the hospital. They didn't even let me get dressed in the hospital room. They sent me to the lobby. I get flown home and I couldn't walk for 2 weeks. I was bedridden for 2 weeks after that.
When you say you couldn't walk, like you couldn't feel your feet, or
I had feeling, but it was too painful to move.
Oh, so my God.
I was bedridden. I would get up and just struggle my way to the restroom. Thankfully I had a lot of roommates at the time and they took care of me. They really did. But after that, it was kind of like, okay, I'm not.
You weren't home for that? I mean, you were in your hometown, but you said you had roommates that were taking care of you. So this wasn't like go to mom and dad's place.
Oh, no. I didn't live at home at the time. I lived in an apartment with friends, at the time.
I'm such a puss. I probably would have went home to my mom. I wouldn't care if I was in my 20s or not. I'd be like, Mom.
She did pick me up from the airport. It was so bad. They were wheelchairing me through the airport from stop to stop. So, after that, I kind of had to figure out a life without the option of becoming a very famous, professional wrestler on TV. Obviously, we see where Seth made it, and plenty of people said I would be there right alongside him if I hadn't suffered that injury, which later did result in me getting a spinal fusion. My C7. My C5 through C7 vertebrae are fused together. I got that back in 2018. over 10 years after the actual accident happened. So pretty serious.
And so you don't risk taking any bumps in the ring at this point. You can't, right? It's like it's a vulnerable spot, right?
Sure. I can't say that I haven't bumped since the surgery. I'm not sure my surgeon would be happy to hear that. So if you're listening, my bad. But you know, that's kind of how wrestling goes, right? When you retire, you get the itch and you got to scratch it. So I've had matches since the surgery. I try to be careful about what I do in the ring in an effort to not need another neck surgery, or even worse, find myself paralyzed.
Scary stuff.
Very, very.
So in the wrestling world, we call a big fan like a mark.
Sure.
Right? You're a mark, right? I mean, I have to imagine I would be a big mark too. I've never really met any professional wrestlers ever before. So, just watch them on TV, but I can imagine my tail would wag a little bit.
Sure. Right. I mean, if you're doing this, most likely you grew up a fan of this, right?
Yeah.
So you idolized plenty of professional wrestlers. So there are certain people within this business that I'm still a massive mark for. And then there's people outside of the business. We're talking about sports heroes and musical heroes that I'm a mark for as well. So
you said, so speaking of being a mark, you're a big Shawn Michaels fan, and you actually worked side by side with him on some stuff, right?
Yes, I did. A few years back, I was invited to NXT in Florida, WWE's developmental training center, and I was invited there for a week to coach the next generation of professional wrestlers. Through my involvement with the Black and Brave Wrestling Academy, they were essentially recruiting me to see if I could be a coach at NXT. And the job was, while not an official contract was not presented to me, it was discussed with some higher ups within WWE, maybe a guy who used to spit water in the air during his entrance. Maybe we'll watch him wrestle a little bit later.
Maybe.
It was discussed with me if I would be interested in moving to Florida and coaching at NXT, and I don't know, maybe I'm a little crazy, but I declined so I could continue coaching at Black and Brave, so I could be here in Davenport, Iowa, my hometown, or at least the city that I call my hometown now. I was actually born in New Hampshire many years ago, but have lived in the Quad Cities since 1997. I'm very proud of the wrestling gym, Black and Brave Wrestling, that we've created. It's been open since 2014, so 11 years in business now, and I'm very passionate about the students that we have and the graduates that have come through the program. And I have two kids, 2 sons, and I don't want I don't want to have to move them anywhere else, and I'm very comfortable here in Iowa. So it was kind of a thank you, very, very appreciative of the offer. Trust me, right? But as far as me right now, where I'm at in my life today, I'm comfortable here in Davenport in the Midwest.
I also think that you are so confident in your ability to have done that job on NXT. I don't think you looked at it as, man, I should try this and just see if it works out. You probably already knew it's going to work out. You probably already knew you were going to go down there and execute on a high level. And you probably already knew that more opportunities would present themselves. And then how do you say no to that?
Sure. Right. And
am I full of crap, or am I on the right track?
There's something to be said about that. Correct. But in my opinion, I didn't feel like my work was finished here. Right. I didn't feel like everything that I put into Black and Brave to allow it to start, myself and Seth Rollins, we partnered together on this. This was, an equal operation, and everything that I put into that to get it to be one of the most successful wrestling schools in the entire world. I wasn't done with that. I still had work I needed to do. And in my opinion, if the offer was given to me just a handful of years ago, then I could revisit that in the future if need be. And
with a sharper sword.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. As I was older, as I was more experienced, as I was wiser in the business, you learn every day. I learn more coaching professional wrestling than I did actually being in the ring and doing it, just attacking issues that needed to be solved from different angles has, like you said, sharpened my own sword. So to me, it wasn't the right time to leave. I'm not saying it'll never be the right time. When my kids are older, they graduate high school and we'll see where life takes me then. But, I'm not saying no forever, but at that time it was a no. And that was because I wanted to come back to Davenport and I wanted to keep doing my thing at Black and Brave.
Did SCWPro, because I don't know much of the history.
Sure.
Did SCWPro and Black and Brave kind of start at the same time?
No.
So how do you become the CEO, right?
Sure, yeah.
Of SCWPro?
So really SCWPro, I'll take you way back. It just started as essentially a backyard wrestling company with a bunch of friends that eventually built a makeshift ring in a barn in the outskirts of Davenport, right? In one of the guys' family barn, where the pillars of the barn were the ring posts, right? And they drilled the turnbuckles into those pillars.
Oh, how dope.
Cool is that,
yeah.
right? And they strung the rope up for the ropes, and the canvas was mattresses covered in sheet metal to help with the noise, covered in plywood, covered in like high school wrestling mats. Right.
Oh, so it was a little forgiving.
Yeah. Right. Like there was a little bit of bounce to it, but I mean, you were still bumping on sheet metal and
but that wrestling mat layer had to have been a nice little treat.
Sure. Yeah. And actually, I met all of those guys while waiting in line for tickets to a SmackDown taping in 2002. So it was I remember this because it was the day before my 16th birthday, and I met all of the original SCW backyard wrestlers then, including one Seth Rollins that night, and they were like, "Hey man, you guys are cool." I was there with my high school friends. You guys are cool. If you love wrestling, why don't you come check us out? So we went and we checked it out maybe a week or two later, and we were like, "This is awesome. Like we have to find a way to be involved." Well, we were in luck. After the show was over, which by the way, you had to climb a ladder into the second floor of this barn. It was in the loft of this barn. So first of all, that was cool as shit, right?
Yeah.
I think it was $2 a ticket to get in back then. Again, we're talking 2002.
And a liability waiver signed. Yeah.
And eventually, eventually the father of the kid, the guy who owned the barn, he shut it down because he was like, "There's too many people in this barn; it's going to collapse." So
that's great.
A year later, we were looking for a new home. But after that first show I went to, they said, "Hey, anybody want to get into this ring and try to do something cool? Show us what you got." And I was a trampoline kid growing up, so I got in the ring and immediately did a backflip. And my other high school buddy did a front flip, and they were like, "Shit, you guys are in. That's cool, right?"
Oh, man.
And so we went to what they called training sessions and learned how to bump and do other things. And it was like, all right, you guys can start wrestling. And during that time, the barn shuts down. And it's like, what are we going to do? So thankfully, a wrestler, SCW fans would be, they would remember the name Nevin Knoxville, right? Nevin Knoxville was kind of the original leader of SCW, right? Him and another guy named Stephen Youngblood, whose dad was the one who owned the barn. And they said, "We're not going to stop just because my dad kicked us out of the barn. Let's find a fucking ring."
Yeah,
right?
dude.
So they bought an independent wrestling ring, talked a church in Davenport, I think on 3rd Street, just actually a few blocks down from the Black and Brave gym now, called, ironically, St. Mark's. We were just talking about that.
Yeah, for all the marks out there.
They convinced them, "Hey, let us have a wrestling show here." So that was the very first SCW Pro Wrestling show, August of 2003 in St. Mark's Church in Davenport, with a real wrestling ring with a bunch of untrained backyard wrestlers trying to have a good time, myself included, Seth Rollins included. And Shane Hollister was on that show. Crotch, not on the show, bought a ticket. Paid his
no kidding.
Paid his. I think the tickets were $7. Right, you got to pay off that ring somehow.
So what he's referencing is we've had Shane Hollister on the show. We've had Matt Crotch Mayday on the show, and to hear that they were at the first official show with a ring.
Yep.
One as talent and one as a fan.
Yeah. So we did that, and from there it was just like an addiction. Like, how can we continue to do this? And it was hard. Independent wrestling was not popular then. In 2003, 2004, WWE wasn't all that popular then. So,
it was on the struggle bus in the early 2000s.
And it's a trickle down effect, right? So when they're doing well, the independents are doing well. And at that time, independent wrestling was not cool. Nobody knew about it, right? But we didn't care. We just wanted to wrestle. We loved wrestling so much, right? I equate it. I'm a big punk rock fan. I love punk rock music, right? I equate independent wrestling to punk rock a lot, right? Where you're doing it for the love of the art form, not necessarily because it's commercially viable, right? So at that time, it was all about us getting to do what we loved with our group of friends, whether it was in front of 10 people, 20 people. If we had 65 people there, it was like fucking WrestleMania, right? Like it can't get any bigger than this, right?
And how old are you at the time?
I was 17. I was a senior in high school when I started wrestling.
Okay, so you're a senior in high school. At what school?
Bettendorf High School.
At the Bettendorf High School. And
Yes,
you're
sir.
probably one of the scurv kids, right? You probably got the freaking Janko jeans and the all the things going on, right?
I was a skateboarder back in the day, so yeah.
So there you go.
You nailed me. Wrestling wasn't cool, but I was standing in the lunchroom handing out flyers. Hey, come to the SCW show.
So what I'm asking is, did that kind of elevate your status, or did it help you or hurt you in the popularity points?
100% hurt me in popularity points.
Really?
Wrestling, not cool. If we would have started that a handful of years earlier during
the Attitude Era, like in '97,
I'd have been the coolest kid in school. But,
Yeah.
you know, I didn't start wrestling until 2003, so not cool anymore. I'm not cool. I'm the kid handing out flyers in the lunchroom. The people grabbing them or crumpling them up and throwing them in the garbage immediately after I handed it to them.
This is like literally out of a movie.
Yes,
yeah.
100%. But we didn't care. We did not care. I just
Good for you.
wanted to wrestle so bad that I didn't care if I was cool for wrestling. I didn't care if people showed up. I just wanted to do it. And so I did it. And I did that all through my entire senior year. And then afterwards, it was like, well, shit, what do I do now? And I had a girlfriend who was a year older than me. So during my senior year, she was a freshman at the University of Iowa. And the plan, we had been dating for 3 years at that point. The plan was I will then go to the University of Iowa as well. And I had some scholarships. I did well in high school.
There's promise rings involved
Sure.
here.
Sure. And the entire plan was I will then go to Iowa and we'll be together and we'll get through college together and then we'll get married. And I was coming to the end of my senior year, and she said, all right, did you get your application in? And I said, I'm not going. And she said, what do you mean you're not going? That's the plan. And I said, I'm going to go be a pro wrestler. I'm not going to do this university route. I'm going to go be a pro wrestler. And I did. I went to Chicago.
Cue the punk rock.
Yeah. Just like that. So obviously her and I broke up, and then I married pro wrestling right then and there.
What a cool story. So, to date, how many SCW pros? Well, so, okay, wait a minute. How do you come to be the owner of the company?
Yeah. We got to fast forward a number of years. So I started in 2003, wrestled for SCW for a number of years. Back in the day, we used to have yearly votes for who would be on what we called the committee, which was a 5-person decision-making team. They would decide on the schedule, the venues, different things like that. And then also alongside that, there was a 3-person booking committee, and those 3 people would get elected to write the storylines for the next year, right?
Is this all volunteer?
This is all volunteer,
Yeah.
right? You know, there's no money in independent wrestling. There wasn't in 2003. Certainly it hasn't changed in 2025. We're still doing this for the love of the game, punk rock, baby. But you know, I found myself on the booking committee at times, on the 5-person just committee that ran the organization at times. But as far as coming to be the one sole owner, SCW was kind of in dire straits around 2011, 2012, and the people who were running it at the time were just very busy with life stuff, kids and jobs and things like that. And I looked at it as, if I don't take this over now, this won't exist anymore. And I'm not ready for us to be done with this. So I stepped up and said, I'll do it. I will run this company. I don't care if I have to run it by myself. Now, thankfully, I have a lot of very helpful people who are in very specific roles, and they can help me do a lot of different things that maybe I don't excel at. But as far as, you know, decision making, like, that comes down to me. Like, I'm the final say on everything that happens. I book the shows. So
there's still a committee.
Not really.
Not really.
No,
Everything's kind of dissipated.
There's no more votes. I'm the guy, and I kind of pick and choose who helps me. So I have a couple right-hand guys that help me with kind of the day-to-day operations, and then I have another guy, and him and I sit down and we book the shows together. So we come up with the storylines, and certainly we're open to suggestions from all of our wrestlers, and a lot of times they'll come to us with an idea and then we flesh it out a little bit more. But as far as taking over SCW, I did that around 2011, 2012. And I looked at it and I said, well, let's make this legit. I don't want this to be backyard wrestling anymore. So I turned it into more of a family-friendly product, right? We keep our edge. We want to be cool, but
I did notice that at the show.
Sure.
It was edgy. I was entertained. I didn't feel like I was there watching a kid's show.
Yeah.
But I saw kids in the crowd, and I also know all the parents that were with the kids never really had a moment where they were like, yeah. So that's a tough
Sure.
wire to walk.
That's a fine line that we have to walk. But in my opinion, I want everyone to enjoy our show.
Yeah.
Not just 18 to 25-year-old males, right? And not just 7 to 10-year-old kids. I want everyone to be able to come and enjoy being out in public, being with their friends. We've had people who have met their best friends at our shows, who have gotten married after meeting their significant other at our shows, who have had kids who then attend our shows and then have gone through my wrestling school.
Is this your main gig? Or do you have a shoot job too, where you got to go pay the, like, I don't know, like, how does it work?
Like I said, there's no money in independent wrestling.
Yeah.
I'm not walking home with fat stacks of cash after these shows, right? As you saw, our tickets are $10, right? And people,
which is crazy.
Yeah,
But
you're not the first person to say that. And everyone says that you should raise ticket prices. And I go, I don't want to, right? Because to me, it's not about me making money personally, right? I do well. My main gig is the Black and Brave Wrestling Academy. We have students who come from all over the world to train with us, and they pay a good fee to do so. And I live comfortably off of that money. I don't need to make money off of SCW.
Yeah.
To me, it's a service to our graduates. They get an opportunity to wrestle on live events in front of a live audience to perfect their craft. But it's also a service to the loyal independent wrestling fans in the Quad Cities, in Iowa City, in the surrounding area.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity for them. At $10 a ticket, you can bring the entire family out, and you don't have to worry about how are we going to pay for groceries next week.
I totally agree with you on that front. But if I could, I'd love to lock up with you for a second.
Sure.
I'd love to lock up because I feel the show that I got at $20 is still a steal.
And I appreciate you saying that. I really do.
And so what if Marek Brave is not looking at SCW as a way for him to be able to afford a Hummer, right?
Yeah.
Then why not bump it to the $20 that at least it deserves? And that's more that you could divvy out to the wrestlers.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm all for the wrestlers making as much money as possible. And that's why I encourage them to sell T-shirts and photos and little rubber bracelets and dolls and whatever it may be. And I also encourage them to branch out and wrestle anywhere and everywhere. There's so many independent promotions, not only in the Midwest, but all across the United States and all across the world. And I want them to branch out and you know, spread their wings and fly, baby. You know what I'm saying? I want them to go and do those things when they've acquired the sufficient skills. But for me, it's more important, it's more important to have as many people there as possible to cheer these guys and girls on.
Do you think $20 would deter?
I do.
You really do?
Yeah. Especially, you know, during these economic times and where we're located. A lot of our shows are in Bluegrass, Iowa. That's blue-collar working people, you know, working on farms and whatnot. And then in Iowa City, you got college kids struggling to pay for books and everything like that. And you know, cost of groceries on the rise. Everything costs more nowadays. We have been $10 a ticket for, I want to say, the last 7 or 8 years. I haven't raised prices by a dime because I want people to have that steady, reliable form of entertainment that they can come to with the entire family. You can buy 4 tickets for $40, 6 tickets for $60. That's cheaper than a movie ticket. I want you to be able to come with your entire family, have that escape from everyday reality, from the shitty job you got, from this person bitching at you, that person bitching at you. You can say, screw all that. Let me go to SCW and just for the next 2 hours, forget about all that stuff and have a good time. And I don't want it to be a strain on your wallet, on your bank account. I want you, to me, it's more important to put on a damn good show, get as many people there as possible than it is for me to make more money.
Ticket prices are definitely a hot button. It's a hot button. You've had this conversation before. I know you
100%.
have. I know. I can just tell because like
everybody tells me you got to raise prices. You got to raise prices, and I say no. I don't want to do it. There will come a day, right? Just that's how this world works, right? There will come a day when I have to raise prices. That's going to be a sad day for me.
I will tell you. From a fan standpoint, I felt guilty about the $10.
Good.
I felt guilty about it. Like I almost felt like, oh my God, I gotta like, I feel like this should be like you know what I mean?
Well, so how about this? You pay the company $10, but then you go buy a $20 T-shirt from Tory Fox, and then you go to the bar and you buy a couple beers, and then you grab some
which we did.
Exactly.
I bought a Tory Fox T-shirt. I'm such an ass. I should have wore that shirt. Actually, Parker put it in his backpack because I want that shirt back. Maybe I want. You thief. Yeah. Anyway,
it's a good T-shirt, but to me, I don't know. It's just not important for me to be the sole earner of all the money in your pocket. You know, if you give me $10 to come into the show, have fun, spend money at the merch table, spend money at the bar. Now the venue makes money. Now the wrestler makes money. I've got my cut. I can pay to travel here, there, and everywhere. I can pay for the insurance. I can pay for this, that. It's just. I'll
tell you what we're going to do. You and we're going to go out for beers one night. And
we're out for beers right now, man.
We're out for beers right now. But we're going to go out for beers one night, and I'm going to make it my mission of that night to buy you beers until I convince you to raise those prices.
Hey, fans, you are hearing this right here
from
Joe. He wants to raise your ticket price, man.
I do.
He's trying to take your money and put it in my pocket.
We will. We're gonna let the headlock go here.
Now, so there have been times for like big shows where we bring in names. We've had Raven and Vader, rest in peace. Vicky Guerrero, Ryback. We've had wrestlers like that on our events. where we'll rent a bigger venue. We used to run in the historic Cole Ballroom in downtown Davenport, right? I mean, Elvis has played there, Metallica's played there, Notorious B.I.G.'s played there. We've wrestled there. That's cool for me, right? That's a cool thing, a cool notch in my belt, right? We raise ticket prices where first row may cost $20, second, third row $15. But then we still have our general admission $10 tickets so that you can still bring the entire family. It's very important for me, no matter if there is a more expensive ticket in the house, it's very important for me that $10 ticket still exists so that you can bring the entire family no matter what your income level is.
All right, we got to help some people out here.
Sure.
If I'm a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid, especially in the Quad Cities, and I freaking love professional wrestling. I'm athletic. I'm kind of big, but there's a lot of big athletic kids coming out of the Quad Cities. And I've got a little bit of riz, too.
Sure, yeah.
And I would love to explore the option of becoming a professional wrestler. Or maybe you don't even check any of those boxes, but except the last one.
Yeah.
I have to admit it's got to be a little bit intimidating for that person to just stroll in the door at Black and Brave. So how does that guy or gal get started into professional wrestling?
Well, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, we're a very well-known professional wrestling academy. There are 4 WWE ID wrestling schools in the entire world.
Okay.
Black and Brave is one of them.
Time out for that. Explain to me what the WWE ID is, because I got to tell you, Marek, the first time I ever heard of WWE ID was hearing about Rikishi's gym that got it revoked because of the Rashad deal with that beatdown that took place, which we could peel that in if we have time. But so what is the WWE ID to the layman fan?
Sure. Well, basically ID stands for independent development. It's WWE's way of keeping an eye on the future of the business, right? And WWE only has so many spots that they can fill in their training center down in Florida at NXT, right? And so they can't sign every single person that they want to keep an eye on. So this is their way of paying a little bit of money every week or every month to certain independent talent to say, hey, you don't have to go work, like you said, a shoot job during the week. We're going to take care of your bills for you. We want you to work out, get in great shape. We want you to get a tan, right? Go to the tanning bed.
Yeah.
We want you to get bookings every single weekend, multiple times a weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, wrestle anywhere and everywhere. And get better. And we're going to check in on you. And we want to watch your matches.
I had no idea that took place.
Sure. Yeah. And that is for individual talent, but they also have ID designated schools where, listen, the professional wrestling world for its entirety has been filled with people who want to take your money.
Yeah.
Right?
Carnies and con men.
Carnies. Absolutely. Doesn't happen as often in 2025 as it used to back in the day. But this is their way of saying, if you're looking for reputable training, these are the places you should go. So there's us, there's Cody Rhodes. I wish I remember the other two. There's a couple other places in the West, on the West Coast. And
because Cody Rhodes one is what called like the Nightmare Factory.
Nightmare Factory in Tennessee or somewhere.
So that's a huge feather in you guys' cap.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it just because Seth is involved doesn't mean that's a guaranteed thing. It has to be a great school.
No, they sent a WWE representative to our school to scout our school. And that person was there watching training, watched our graduates have matches with each other, so they could assess whether our training was at the level of what they were looking for in WWE ID schools. And I have to tell you, after that person left, he sent me a message and he said, of all the schools we've been to this entire year, he came to us in December, your gym focuses more on the things that WWE is looking for in potential signees than any place we've been to this entire year.
The nuances, the true craft, the true art of professional wrestling that can only come from lifelong fanboys that get it, that grew up with it, that understand it, that like when you grow up being a professional wrestling fan, you also grow up to respect it deeply for what it is.
100%.
And when I am hanging around some freaking Bettendorf sports dads who are spanking it to the Bears, right?
Sure.
And then when I bring up professional wrestling and when they scoff at me, I get upset by that. Like, I'm shaken by that because I'm like, you know what, dude? If you would even take an hour of your life to just have an open mind and look at this craft for what it is, if you couldn't respect that, then I don't think you can respect anything. It upsets me when people talk shit about professional wrestling.
Sure, yeah. And
anyway, that's why your school is because you're teaching that stuff.
At the end of the day, professional wrestling is a form of entertainment, right? And every single form of entertainment is based around the idea of storytelling. And it has been for thousands of years. And that's what professional wrestlers do. It's good versus evil. It's this guy stole my girl. It's this guy, broke into my house and kicked my dog. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's what pro wrestling is. It's I don't like you for this specific reason, and I'm going to get back at you by beating the shit out of you, man. And whether I take your championship or just embarrass you in front of a national audience, that's what I'm trying to do. So professional wrestling is storytelling, and storytelling isn't just moves, right? We all like a cool move, right? We all like the coolest moves.
We love moonsaults. Yeah, give me moonsaults, baby.
We all like a cool move, right? But we also all like a kung fu movie. They're fun, right? But kung fu movies don't win Oscars.
Yeah. No dialect.
The good stories win the Oscars. So do the kung fu, do the cool moves, but use those moves to tell your story. And now you have an Oscar-winning match, a.k.a. now you have a badass professional wrestling match that'll stand the test of time, and people will look at you like you're one of the best in the world.
You know what I laugh at? When people scoff and go, it's scripted.
Yeah.
And I'm like, isn't everything scripted these days? Like, if you're honestly watching a sporting event on TV and you don't think that there is a little bit of extra wind in the air, then you're crazy.
All those times they showed Taylor Swift on the broadcast.
Yeah,
that wasn't an accident.
Come on, guys. So anyway, back to my original question. How does one become a professional wrestler?
Man, I'm known to wander.
No, that's okay. I love tributaries.
Well, I mean, you got to go to the website, www.blackandbravewrestling.com. You fill out an application. Don't be alarmed. We are on a 2-year waiting list right now. It is a very sought after program. So you're going to wait a little bit, but it's
so if you're like 16.
Wait. Yeah,
15.
Apply now.
If you're 15 or 16, put your name in.
Yes, absolutely.
And get your ass in the gym and get to work.
Yep, get in shape. And that's what I tell people when they're like, oh, I got to wait 2 years. I'm like, no, you get 2 years to prepare yourself for what's to come. It's not an easy program. It's not supposed to be an easy program. It's difficult. If it was easy, you wouldn't be getting your money's worth. The professional wrestling world isn't easy. Right? The professional wrestling world is tough. It's difficult. And if we held your hand the whole time and told you were doing great when you weren't, if we didn't, bust our asses to make sure you're busting your ass, you're not getting your money's worth, and you're not going to be prepared when you get out there into the real world of independent wrestling and professional wrestling. If you are to achieve a major contract someday, you're not going to be prepared, and you're going to get sideswiped, and it's going to chew you up and spit you out. So we make sure it's a difficult program so that you are physically and mentally prepared for what the professional wrestling business truly is.
How old do you have to be to join the school?
18. We won't accept anyone under 18. We want nothing but adults. We want everyone to be, a little bit more mature. It's not to say every 18-year-old's mature, but we will not accept anyone under the age of 18. That's for insurance purposes and also just, the wrestling is tough on the body. It's tough on the brain. You're putting your skull, your brain into danger every time you take a bump. And we want to make sure that you have a fully developed brain before you put it at risk by taking bumps and potentially getting concussions,
Pull the curtain back for me just a little bit. Like on day 1, 2, 3, and I'm some new guy. Like, what am I about to endure?
Well, before day 1, we have what we call day 0. This is our conditioning test. This is you show up with your classmates. It's the first time you've ever met us. It's the first time you've ever stepped foot in the ring. First time you watch Seth Rollins walk into the gym and you go, your asshole.
You pucker a little bit. Yeah, I'm sure you do. Yeah.
And we go, all right, you see that ring? You're not going to touch it. You ain't even getting in that ring today. Today we work out. And Seth is a big CrossFit fan, right?
I didn't know that, but I knew that.
Yeah.
Like you can just tell. I said this to somebody real quick. I based on his physique and his demeanor and just the way he moves, you can tell he's a CrossFit guy.
Yeah, and he has claimed, and I agree, that CrossFit is the most relevant training that you can do to simulate being in a match, because it's a lot of start and stop. Right? It's a lot of go super hard for a shorter amount of time and then rest.
And cardio and strength combined.
Yeah.
You have to be strong and quick.
Yep. They call it HIIT, high intensity interval training, right? That's what CrossFit is. That's what wrestling is. You're going really fast, running through your spot, and then everybody bumps and we all lay there. And then the ref, 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 count, whatever. So it's essentially day 0 is a 3-hour CrossFit workout with minimal breaks, obviously water breaks and whatnot. But it's designed to challenge you physically, designed to challenge you mentally. We've had plenty of people quit during the conditioning test on day 0. They've paid their full amount. It's non-refundable, right? It's non-refundable for any reason whatsoever. Because
it's like, was it $3-4 grand?
$4,000.
$4,000 to join.
Yeah, which if you look, is pretty standard across most.
That doesn't seem like that doesn't seem like a lot to me at all. Like, I mean, you're at one of 4 WWE ID schools for $4,000. Like, come on, give me a break.
We did not raise prices after that designation either, so we weren't trying to take advantage of that. But
so if you peter out on day 0, well,
that's
sorry.
It. You paid $4,000 for a 10-minute physical instruction, and you got to say hi to Seth Rollins, and that was it. But we always tell people, man, we are not going to kick you out, unless you do something ridiculous and egregious. But we're not going to kick you out. It's not. We're not judging you on a 100-point scale. It's pass or fail, and the only way you fail is if you quit. Right. And
that's fair enough.
Yeah. If you stick around, I don't care how slow you ran or how light you lifted or how many times you threw up. You know what I mean? Like, as long as you stuck with it and did your best, not this guy's best or that girl's best, or as long as you did your best and you are willing to continue to work hard over the next 12 weeks, stick around, man. We got a spot for you.
Before we go to day 1, have you ever had anybody bail and then come back and try to unbail?
That's kind of our one of our tenets, right? Once you quit, you don't get to come back. But we've had people who have said they were going to quit, and I'll try and talk you out of it. I'm like, listen, man, we're having fun, right? This is not a punishment. We're not trying to get you to quit. We are showing you that you're stronger than you think you are. That you are more capable of doing this type of stuff than you think you are. Because it's a 3-hour conditioning test. Within the first 20 minutes, most people want to quit. But we've had 250-something graduates in the 11 years we've been in business. All of those people wanted to quit too, but they didn't. You are stronger and more capable than you think you are.
Would you say in your school, to be a successful professional wrestler, you have to condition yourself to get off on the pain?
Yeah, we call it embracing the suck, right? Embrace the suck. Some of this sucks, right? It's a grind. It's painful. It hurts. You are doing something that's completely unnatural. Your body was not meant to go from a standing position to completely flat on your back in a quick motion. Your body was never meant to do that. We're not designed to do that. We're meant to walk around and sit on these nice comfy chairs and sleep in our fluffy beds and be warm and toasty and comfortable, right? And professional wrestling says, fuck that. You are going to be in pain. Very similarly to for those who've been in the military. And the only reason I know this is because we've had graduates who have been in the military prior to coming here. Some have been in the Marine Corps. And in the Marine Corps, they do something called body hardening, where they'll stand across from each other and I'm messing the microphone up here, but like smash their forearms together and kick each other in the legs. And that's to get the brain used to the idea that this is what this shit is going to feel like. And that's what bumping is. Your first bump hurts like hell. Your body is not meant to do that. But your next bump hurts a little less. Bump after that hurts a little less. 100, 200, 300 bumps down the line, you know what that's going to feel like.
So you make it through day 0.
Yep.
Then you come back to day 1. Now, is this still like, how long do you edge these dudes before you let them get in the ring?
No, you can get in the ring day 1. So day 0 happens. We take the weekend off. We come back the next week. Let's get in the ring, right?
Oh, that's fair enough. You're going to kill them on a Friday.
Usually it's on a Wednesday even. So we'll give you like a full extra, 5 days or whatever to chill. And sometimes we'll have wrestling shows that weekend. We'll say, hey, come help set up the ring, whatnot. But the following Tuesday, we're back in the ring and we start you from the ground up. Whether you have 10 years of experience, like some of our students have had, or whether it's the first time you've ever stepped in a ring. We're going to start you from the ground up. We're going to teach you how to somersault, forward roll, backward roll, cartwheel, things like that. And then the next day, we're going to teach you how to back bump and flip bump and things like that. And we have plenty of drills that we do over the first couple of weeks, very grueling drills, not necessarily designed to get people to leave the program, but if you are a weak-minded individual, you may be more inclined to do so. It's not our goal to get you to quit, but it's our goal to not waste time with people who are not in this for real, right? If you tell me you're passionate about it, that's one thing. I need you to show me you're passionate about it. I need you to show me that we can kick your ass with these drills, these cardio drills that get you feeling like you want to vomit every 5 seconds. We can kick your ass with that, and you can come back and say, thank you, sir. May I have another?
Let me ask you this. Who does better, the ex-athlete or the skateboard kid?
I will be honest, it usually is the ex-athlete because they are used to kind of shutting their brain off and saying, what do you want me to do? I will go do that. They're used to following instruction. And they're used to working hard. You know what I mean? Like high school wrestling's tough. High school football's tough. College football's tough. And so when those people come around, they go, oh, I've kind of done this before. Ex-military does better than anyone because I would say wrestling school is very akin to a Marine style boot camp. You know, we're going to beat your ass. We're going to break you down and then we're going to build you back up.
And how long is the school?
It's a 12-week program from start to finish.
Damn, you get 3 months of this?
You do. And then after you graduate, you are allowed to come back to our gym and use it for fitness purposes. We have a ring there you can get in 7 days a week so you can practice your craft of professional wrestling at no extra charge. There's no monthly charge for that. We're not going to ask for a dime from you if you graduate the program and you want to stay at the gym free of charge 7 days a week for as long as we're open.
Do you guys ever do any like what I would call scrimmage matches and open it up to the public?
Not to the public, no.
You've never once kind of just like, hey, we're going to do a scrimmage? And
no, again, insurance wouldn't like that very much.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, they aren't big fans of pretty much anything you do in professional wrestling, right? They're like, do you guys jump off the top rope? And we're like,
No.
Sometimes not that much. You know. Like,
oh my gosh. Yeah. How do you even get a policy written on whatever that is? That's got to be a mess.
Very carefully. But
yeah, it's like starting a fitness equipment company. My
sure,
company.
Right?
Yeah, like, oh, we carry in fitness equipment in and out of people's houses. They're like, I don't think there's a book for that.
Right.
Anyway.
But no, it's just, it's not open to the public. It is a private gym. People will stop by and we'll let them take pictures and whatnot. You get people that are coming through that are big wrestling fans and they're taking a vacation somewhere in the Midwest, so they swing by, or there's a baseball tournament at the Betplex and the kid wants to come and see the titles we have hung up on the wall.
So if somebody walks in the door, like, it's not a get out of here type of thing.
If we're in the middle of class, we'll ask them to come back after class is over, but we're never like, you can't be here. It's like, oh, hey, we're kind of busy right now, but stop by in an hour and you'll be good to go.
That's nice. Yep. Well, you almost can't be jerks about it.
No, and we don't want to be. I remember being that little kid, 8 years old, and if I had an opportunity to meet Shawn Michaels, as we've discussed, my favorite wrestler of all time, if I had an opportunity to meet Shawn Michaels at 8 years old, I'd have been camping outside of his gym 24/7 until I got my picture. You know what I'm saying? So we get it.
So back to SCW, which works out nice because you've got a feeder here almost to SCW because these guys got to get experience before they're going to go anywhere else.
Yep.
So that works out pretty nice.
Yep.
Right. I'm wondering. So when you bring those guys into a match, like what goes through your mind when you're like pairing these guys up? Like, and are you pulling people from other towns? Like, or am I seeing mostly black and brave people in there?
What you'll see on SCW is mostly black and brave graduates, right? It's either people who have been around for the entirety of SCW, like myself or Matt Mayday or Shane Hollister or a Mason Beck, who started with us back in 2003, or you're seeing graduates of the Wrestling Academy, and you'll get other independent wrestlers who aren't graduates of the school who get a little jealous of that. And they're like, well, I'll never get a shot at SCW because I didn't graduate from Black and Brave. Yeah. And it's like, well, sure, right? But that's because I run Black and Brave and I run SCW and I know the graduates from the school and I know what they're good at, what they need to get better at. And it's my job as their coach to help them to get better. And sometimes the only way you can get better is by doing this in front of a live audience. So I want to give them an opportunity because I have an intimate relationship with that human being. You know what I mean? I care about that person because I spent nearly every day with them for 12 weeks on end. And then they showed up after they graduated to help set up rings and be security on shows and whatnot. So of course I'm going to give them an opportunity over Joe Schmo, who graduated a different wrestling school hours away, who I don't know personally. And at this point, after 11 years, having 250 plus graduates, I got a lot of people who want to be on these wrestling shows, and I have to say no to my own graduates. So for me to say yes to somebody who I don't know and that's not to slander them or say they're not a talented worker. I'm sure they are. I'm sure there's plenty of talented workers out there who have never wrestled for SCW and they're in this Midwest bubble. But for me, it is my duty as the coach, as the wrestling father of this guy or this girl, to get them on my show, where I know things are done properly, right? Get them on my show, get them in front of a live audience, and then I can give them instant critiques, instant feedback. I can tell them what I would have done differently, what they may want to try differently next time they're out there, so that they can become better, right? So they're separate companies, but it's a very synergistic relationship.
So I'm glad you explained it like that.
Yeah.
From an outsider perspective, if I was just trying to wrestle in a SCWPro show, and I reached out to you, and you're like, "Sorry, man, no vacancy."
Yeah.
I'd be like, "Hey, you freaking dick!
Sure.
I've worked my ass off for 8 years here,
100%.
But I don't think that guy who's reaching out to you realizes how deep the roster is within Black and Brave, both current and past, that are still very relevant, that are still trying to break into the business.
Yep, 100%, 100%.
So let me play devil's advocate if I wrestle for you.
Sure.
I would almost come to you and say, but Marek, we are all trained as one with the Black and Brave.
Yep.
And so we all train under the style of the Black and Brave. And I feel like it would be good for me to lock up with someone who didn't train under that same style.
Yep, absolutely. And I 100% agree with that sentiment. SCW doesn't run every weekend, right? We run this month, September 2025, we've run 4 shows. That's abnormal. Normally 2 shows, 3 shows, maybe. But there are wrestling shows happening in the Midwest and all over the country every single Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every single week, right? And it is your job as an independent wrestler to hustle and get out there, make a name for yourself, and branch out and take these bookings. And a lot of our graduates have. A lot of them have. A lot of them wrestled for SCW for a year or 2 years or 3 years or 4 years and then said, okay, I'm going to go here and do my thing on the East Coast or the West Coast or in the South or up north, you know? And I 100% advocate for them doing that. I want them to do that. I want you to, like I said, spread your wings and fly, man. Go out there, because you will learn different styles wherever you go. Wrestling's different by region, which is cool. I think that's great. And to be able to do all styles is very important in this business. But if you're looking for that instant, I'm able to get on a show right away. I graduated last week. There's a show 2 weeks from now, and I can get booked on this show. I want to be able to do that for you. As your coach, I want to be able to do that for you. And there have been times, don't get me wrong, Joe, there have been times where I have brought in people, other independent wrestlers that have graduated from other promotions when we need to fill a spot, and I like that guy's look, and he's a monster, and this girl moves really well. Let's get her in here with some of our guys. I absolutely have done that. But at the end of the day, if it comes down to booking someone I know, I trust, I care about on a personal level, or booking a stranger, I'm always going to go with my Black and Brave guys or girls, because I have a duty to them to help them become the best they can be. And if they can get that instant feedback from me after their match, I'm going to give it to them.
Are there a little bit of politics involved?
100%. Wrestling is full of politics, yes.
Because as you're explaining this to me, and since I'm not on the in of your world, I'm like, okay, Black and Brave is a WWE affiliate school. They clearly know that SCW and Black and Brave are kind of one in a relationship together.
Yep.
But there are other wrestling schools out there that perhaps have pissed in WWE's pool or are perceived as someone they don't want to affiliate with.
Sure.
So I wonder if that is taken into consideration of a Marek Brave before he makes a decision to have somebody else wrestle on the show, just going, man, that person is with that school, and oh man, that's gonna kind of, you know what? It's not worth the hassle. And plus, I got a roster that's too deep anyway.
Does
it go that deep?
Not really. No.
Okay.
Genuinely, I've never looked at anyone and looked at them as lesser than my students. It's just that I have a deeper connection with my students, and I feel a deeper motivation to help them with their careers because they're mine. You know what I mean?
I am more not in the sense of that person isn't good enough to wrestle on my card. It's more like, man, that would be a hell of a match. That would be a good guy, but I know that guy has rubbed some other people the wrong way in our industry, and if he comes on my show, then it might be perceived that you know what I mean?
I get what you're putting down.
Yeah.
There is that, right? In professional wrestling, you are kind of on stage at all times, whether you're in the ring or you're in the locker room, right? People are watching you. They want to know who you are, how you tick. You know, do you fit in? Are you going to cause problems in this locker room, or are people genuinely genuinely going to like you. So yeah, there's politics in that way. Myself and Seth, we rubbed people the wrong way when we were younger, but that was because we were confident in our ability and we weren't shy. More so him than I. We weren't shy about talking about it,
Yeah.
And when you're 18, 19 years old and these 30, 35-year-old veterans who've been doing it for 15 years, hear you come in and go, man, I might be the best person on this show. They don't like to hear that.
Yeah.
So there are people in the independent wrestling world who still, and I get told stories from, my students travel all over the country at this point. Like I said, 250 plus. They'll tell me stories of, I met this guy and he said you were kind of a jerk. And I'm like, I haven't seen that guy since I was 19 years old. I'm 39 years old now. I am 20 years older than the last time I spoke with that person. Ask him, is he the same person he was when he was 19 years old? The answer is probably no. My answer is also no. I'm not the same kid I was when I first broke into the business. I am an old man with multiple businesses, with 2 kids and a house and a mortgage and all that stuff.
You know what you just did for me, Marek? You really drove home this thought that I have had for quite some time. Like your friend Seth Rollins and his feud with CM Punk.
Yeah.
The promos that he was cutting were visceral.
Yeah.
And whether there's any realness to that or if there have been homeboys their whole life, I don't know. But I would also, you just proved it, that there are deep feelings and emotions within the wrestling industry from the indies all the way up to the professionals. And when you see those promos get cut, and if you're wondering, man, was some of that real? It probably was.
Yeah. Some of the most successful professional wrestlers of all time are also some of the most insecure human beings you'll ever meet in your life. They worked hard to get to the top, to where they've gotten and to the levels they've achieved, and they want desperately to stay there. And that's where the politics come in. Like you said, that's where you get people kind of stabbing each other in the back and trying to hold people down so that they can keep their spot on top,
So that brings up the territories of old.
Yep.
Are the territories making a comeback?
It's
or
hard,
not?
It's hard to say, right? In my opinion, there are territories, right? I'm kind of an old school guy.
Yeah, like with you, with SCWPro.
Sure, right.
Where do you perceive your kind of border?
We run mainly in the Quad Cities, right? And the surrounding smaller towns outside of the Quad Cities. And then we run shows in Iowa City. So like that's kind of my territory. We've been doing that for many, many, many years, right? So, in my opinion, it's okay if somebody else wants to run a show in that area, but let's work together. Let's collaborate. Let's make sure we're not running on the same night, right? So we're not competing with each other.
So you're
right?
telling me if another promoter wants to do a show in, like, say the Quad Cities,
Sure.
which would be right in your backyard.
Absolutely.
Certainly, I think there's a level of professional courtesy that takes place.
I would hope so, yeah.
But I bet it hasn't in the past.
There have been times.
And so you would be okay with somebody, say, coming in from Rockford. I got to imagine there's a promotion in Rockford.
100%, yeah.
Okay, so if somebody comes in from a Rockford, maybe that was too close for comfort, but either way, I don't know. Is that okay if you guys have a conversation, or are you going, dude, I don't go to Rockford,
I would absolutely respect somebody sending me an email or getting my number and giving me a text saying, hey, this is who I am. This is what I would like to do. A, are you okay with it? B, can I get your schedule so I'm not competing against you? We're not running on the same nights. And then you have a benefit of doing that as well, right? If you're running in the Quad Cities, why not use the wrestlers who are popular in the Quad Cities, right? The ones who the Quad Cities wrestling fans know. But if I'm having a show, you can't use those people. They're going to wrestle on my show. So you're going to bring a bunch of unknown people and nobody's going to come see your show. So let's work together. Let's collaborate. I'm okay with that as long as you, like you said, show the respect that I think that, you know, I deserve, being in this business for 22 years and running the company that I've been running for, 14, 15 years, and running the wrestling school that is a WWE ID affiliated school. I feel like I've garnered or I deserve a certain amount of respect in this business. And if you want to come into my territory and run shows in my territory, I have no problem with that, but let's work together. Let's not work against each other.
And in professional wrestling, there's so much insecurity.
Yeah.
So what happens is, I bet many promoters pussy out. They don't make the call. They don't send the email. They think they're just going to come in like a thief in the night, have a show and move on, and no one's going to care. And I don't really need to have that kind of conversation. Sure. Does that happen too?
Yeah, for sure. And, if that happens, I'm not going to say that it's my favorite thing in the world, but I'm not going to sit here and stew about it. You know what I mean? In the past, there have been people who have thought they were going to come in and take over and take shots at us and take jabs at us. And that's when I get a little perturbed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's when I'm like, it's unnecessary. We don't need to do that.
It would be like chest chopping the Undertaker.
Yeah. You
just don't do it, right? We're happy to get in the ring together.
Yeah.
Let's work together.
Sure.
But there's just some things you don't do.
Yeah. Maybe I'm old school with my mentality, right? And I've noticed a lot of this changing as we've entered the 2020s and now we're halfway through in 2025. And when I was brought into this business in 2003, it was all about paying respect to the people who came before you, right? So in this area, in the Quad Cities, I have run more wrestling shows than anyone in the history of this area. You know what I mean? It's just send the email. Hey man, this is who I am.
Is there any way we can chat? I got some ideas.
And I'm all about the success of independent wrestling as a whole, not just my company, not just SCW, right? I want everyone to succeed everywhere, because the more places these guys and girls can work, the better it is for everyone.
Right.
So if you have a viable idea and a viable business model and you want to be a success in my area, that's totally cool. But let's work together instead of working against each other, so that it benefits the wrestlers and it benefits the viewing public, right? So they don't have to pick and choose. Oh, well, I want to go see that person, but I also want to go see this person, but they're on separate shows, but those shows are happening on the same night. Where do I go? You don't have to do that. You guys run on a Saturday or a Friday. We'll run on a Saturday. Now people can go to both shows, or we'll run this weekend. You run next weekend. And now there's more wrestling and more options and more ability for the guys and girls to get work.
But there again, so much insecurity. Those calls aren't made. Those emails aren't sent.
Oftentimes they're not. Not to say they never are, right? There's some fantastic promoters here in the Midwest who have messaged me when they're not even really in our area, right? Like, oh, we're going to run a show an hour away from your guys' show. Is that okay?
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, do your thing. Thank you so much for sending me an email. And it's not like you're required to ask me, right? Like, I don't sit here and think that it's your duty to ask me, you know what I mean? But I really appreciate it when you do. Right? It lets me know that you're not trying to start shit, right? You want to be cool. And in turn, I'll want to be cool back, right? We don't need to it's not the Monday Night Wars, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're not at that level, you know?
If I asked this question to Bob Gallagher, the Bettendorf mayor. He was here a couple weeks ago.
Oh, awesome.
And I said, if I could give you a magic wand and you could fix like one or two things that are just ailing you around the city, what would you do?
Wow.
Now, if I gave you that same magic wand and said, okay, Marek, you can do whatever you want to or for SCW right now, what would you do?
I think one thing that would not only benefit the organization, but would benefit the performers on our events would be if I had the ability to offer contracts to our guys and girls, right? To offer a contract that says, I will book you X amount of days this year, right? If we're running 30 shows this year, I promise you're on 20 of them. right? And then that way it benefits me because I know you're going to be there on this specific date. So I can run a super cool storyline with you. And not only are you just out there having matches, but now you get to act. You get to cut the promos. You get to sink your teeth into that storytelling that we were talking about earlier, instead of just, I'm wrestling this guy.
What's getting in your way?
I just financials, you know what I mean? It's just, like you talked about, $10 tickets. We're trying to keep things cheap, but also, like, I think that a lot of wrestlers wouldn't want to do that just because they want to keep their options open in case they get an opportunity to go somewhere bigger and better. And for me, let's say if that ever became a reality, which I don't expect it to be, if I had somebody under contract and then all of a sudden they came to me and say, WWE wants me to do a tryout, which means I would have to miss this weekend show, I'd be like, go to the tryout, man.
Yeah.
Like, go try and cement your future in this business. So,
Could you work it out where, man, I'm just thinking out loud here, but is it in the business already where contracts like that exist? However, it's written in there. Now, if you get offered to go wrestle on this show and get paid whatever, then in your absence, we get 50% of whatever you would get on that. Or I'm just throwing a number out. Right. And so that way it would almost be good for the gander and the goose there.
Sure. I might have to talk to my lawyer about it, but I think I
wonder if those exist. They have to.
Maybe, and you hear about these other independent companies. There is a promotion, I believe, based out of Chicago called Major League Wrestling, MLW, and they do sign people to contracts. They're not super high dollar contracts. It's just, we guarantee you this many dates a year at this dollar per match.
Yeah.
And then people sign it and to varying degrees of success, It's just, I think that might be a little too in depth for what I'm trying to do, and we've been doing it for 22 years. And
like, this way better than I do. And like I said, I'm just like, off the cuff thinking of things that I just feel would be interesting if they existed,
And people come and people go. I always tell people, we at one time lost Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins was on every SCW show for years.
Yeah.
And then he got signed to WWE and he left and he never wrestled for us again. And you know what we did? We kept running shows and they were successful. And in fact, the shows today are more successful than they were when Seth Rollins was on them. So, not to be braggadocious, but if we can survive the departure of one Seth Rollins, I think we can survive the departure of pretty much anyone.
Yeah. Maybe hence the contract then, where you just have an exit strategy where you're like, hey, when it's time for you to fly the coop for 2 years, you owe us 25%. I mean, shit, that's almost like, well, good. Then the better I do, the better you do and everything else.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
think
who
for
knows?
me, again, it's one of those situations where I want the best for my graduates. And so go get 100% of your money.
Yeah.
And if it means I have to deal with figuring out how to close this loophole in this storyline that we got, I'll figure it out.
Well, and as a small business owner to another small business owner, right? Because I run my own company and it's not easy. I've been doing it for 15 years. Mm-hmm. It really sucks when you want to be able to do something for the business and invest in this next maybe stage in growth.
Yeah.
But it's like, man, my neck is stretched out a little farther under the guillotine here. And although I really believe in it and I know this is what I want to do and I know the business needs it, I'm already under the guillotine here. And I've got other people at home relying on me running what I currently have because it's taking care of what we need to take care of currently. Isn't that a mind bender?
Sure. And in my personal case, at the end of the day, SCW is kind of my hobby, right? Like, I make my living off of Black and Brave Wrestling. So that has to be, at least in a business sense, number one. The interests of Black and Brave have to be number one for me, because the success of that business determines my ability to pay my mortgage and my truck payment and all of that stuff. But then on top of that, I have 2 kids, and they're going to come before anything, before any business I run. So it's like I got my kids and I got this other business here, and then I got another business that I own, and then it's SCW too. And that's not to say that SCW has to fall in line behind those things, but I can't put my neck out so far that it's putting those other things at risk, because those things are extremely important to me.
Are there ever conversations you have in your own head about like, well, maybe there would be like some of these long-term people that have been with your organization for so many years. Like, is there a way you can still remain kind of like the owner of SCW, but like have some people like run and book the matches to give you a little bit of breathing room that they might volunteer and do that anyway?
And I've thought about that. Actually, recently I missed my first SCW show in maybe 15 years, and that was to attend my grandmother's funeral.
Good for you.
She was 95 years old, lived in Maryland, so I flew out to Maryland. I missed a Friday show. We ended up having a Saturday show that I flew back. I had to get up at like 2 o'clock in the morning to make an early flight to get back so I could help run that show. And that was the first show I missed in 15 years.
How'd it go?
And I was told the show went well, but for the people I put in charge, they said, okay, I think it went well, but please never miss another show ever again.
Oh, yeah.
So it was one of those things where, you know, if the right person presents themselves, you know, hey, let me run this one. You stay home. I'll let you know how it goes. If I felt comfortable with that, then it's certainly an option. But for me, I'm also a bit of a micromanager where I'm just like, I gotta have my fingers in the pot here. I gotta know what's going on.
Well, this has been your baby since you were a young man, since
really
you were a
has
kid.
been. And I feel like, you know, I have a high level of intelligence when it comes to professional wrestling, not just training, but putting on the events and making sure the storylines come across the way that we've written them. And so I trust myself more than I trust other people. That's not to say other people couldn't do it just as well as I do, but I know myself, and I know that if I'm there, I'm confident that whatever problem comes up, I can solve it quickly in that moment, and we can move past it.
And also in business, your roster might be really deep over here, but it's not deep at all over here, and you need a few on this roster, and it's hard to find that person that you can say, hey, I'm going to let you let me know how it turns out, big man.
Yeah, a lot of people enjoy being on the shows. Not a lot of people enjoy running the shows. I've talked to many people who went from wrestler to promoter, and a lot of them flame out within a short amount of time just because it is very, very difficult. As a promoter, half the roster hates you at any given moment, right? Because you have a card of, you know, let's say there's 20 people on this card, 10 people are winning, 10 people are losing. There might be 2 champions or 3 champions. That means there's 17 non-champions who want to be champions. Nobody gets in it to say, I can't wait to be in a 5-minute opening match.
Yeah.
You know, everybody wants to be the main event. Everybody wants to have the cool storyline. Everybody wants to win the title and kiss the girl at the end of the movie, you know? And not everybody gets to do that. So you're dealing with people's egos. You're dealing with people's emotions. You're trying to tell them, please have patience. You know, you may be in that 5-minute opening match today, but a year from now, you might be in the main event. You might be the champion, but you know, it's all about working hard, getting the audience to buy into what you're doing, being respectful and a cool person, a cool human being. I don't need you screaming at me because you're mad at what your creative was this show. You know, I'm not trying to deal with that. I'm trying to have a good time too. So be patient, work hard, listen, learn, right? You know, people think they know everything. Even now, I'm talking about how much I know in this business, but I could sit down in a room with guys like The Undertaker, Ric Flair, Triple H, and I'd keep my mouth shut and just say, I'm gonna listen to every word you guys say, because I can learn a shit ton from this entire conversation. You know,
crazy.
Yeah.
Freaking crazy. What's next? What's next for SCW? I feel like we should plug something here.
Sure. Should I break some news with you, Joe?
Oh, we're getting an exclusive.
Why don't we?
Man, did you hear that? We're getting an exclusive.
All right,
we're getting an exclusive.
So we run our version of WrestleMania every year, right? We call it Epic. It's run in April. Well, Epic next year is on April 25th, 2026. And we have booked a new venue for the very first time ever. It's a very Prestigious venue in the Quad Cities. It's located in Rock Island, Illinois. It is a place called the Stern Center. It is a multi-level balcony on the second floor. It's used for wedding receptions. It's extremely nice, extremely fantastic. We're going to have our ring on the lower level. You're going to be able to watch from the balcony. You're going to have your seats all around the ring on the floor. There's going to be 2 bars set up, a full kitchen. We're going to run our version of WrestleMania at the Stern Center in Rock Island, Illinois. And I can't break all the news, but we're going to have a special guest for that event that might get Quad Cityans very excited.
Incredible.
And that's breaking news. First time I've told anyone outside of my closest inner circle. So you get the first info.
Wow. Well, that's great. Well, if I play my cards right, maybe we'll get to do some microphone and faces at some time. Maybe we'll get to do a tailgate there.
We shall see.
We shall see. That's an exciting deal, dude.
Yep. This is our new Cole Ballroom. They did shut the Cole Ballroom down. It's now like a storage warehouse or something like that. The Stern Center in Rock Island. We have some big things planned with the city of Rock Island in general. You know, there's a big festival that they're going to get started here soon. We're going to be a big part of that. And I've got a meeting with the mayor of Rock Island here next week to figure out ways that we can really bring people back to downtown Rock Island. When I was 18, 19, 20 years old, that was the hot spot. You went to the district in Rock Island. Well, the district is no more.
I wouldn't go to the district now.
Not anymore, right?
Yeah, back in the day, though.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that is the reputation of the district. But the district no longer exists. They're calling it downtown Rock Island, right? They're cleaning it up. They want you to be able to come out, have a good time, bring the whole family, and not worry about your safety while you're down there, right? And they want SCW to be a big part of that, and we're happy to be a big part of that, and we're going to do some really awesome things in downtown Rock Island in 2026 and beyond. So we're very excited for that.
Well, and for the Quad Cities, like this should be celebrated widely around the Quad Cities because it's just more cool stuff to do, and safety's a huge part of it. And and if by some way, the city of Rock Island, and with you helping in your way, can somehow turn the page on some of the bad history there.
And they've already started that. I just took a tour with a member of their organization a couple weeks ago. And to be frank, it was the first time I had been in downtown Rock Island in maybe a decade, despite living just across the river in Davenport. And it seems much cleaner, much nicer, much safer, and definitely an area where I would be more apt to bring my entire family now.
Okay, so how do I get tickets?
Well, right now, no tickets on sale yet. So keep
but we got to buy them on the website.
Yeah, well, we're kind of working through that right now. It might be a similar thing to what we're doing now, where you just pay at the door. We say,
dude, I want to buy front row tickets. I want to buy front. Well, I don't want them. I want to buy front row tickets to that show for my entire family. And so, please, not for my sake, charge out the ass for those, man, because
maybe 15 a ticket,
because I want to make sure I can get them bought, and I'm so excited for you guys. That's a huge deal.
Thank you very much. That's what we used to do for the Cole Ballroom. We had a website. You go to the website, you can reserve your front row seat, and we'll probably end up doing that for Epic at the Stern Center. But I will make sure there are still $10 tickets available for that one. So if you can't afford a $15 or $20 ticket, you can still come at the $10 price, bring the whole family, and enjoy the show. Because I don't want to
bless you, man.
I don't want to alienate our core fan base. I want to make sure that they are still included in what we're doing. I don't want it to be no shade to WWE, as I am a part of the ID program. But TKO took over WWE after Vince McMahon got the boot, and WrestleMania, the cheapest ticket for WrestleMania in Vegas next year is $900.
Dude, I'm telling you, they're flying too close to the sun right now. Yeah. I can see it. The wax that is holding all the feathers together is starting to get a little wilty.
Yeah.
They're flying too close.
Yep.
And I think by taking WrestleMania out of the United States was
a tough one,
huge slap in the face to the core fans. Like it was It was just a bummer to see. It's like, guys, there's an old saying in business: pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're getting a little hoggy right now.
But to me, it feels like the soul of professional wrestling is on sale to the highest bidder.
Yeah.
Not necessarily my favorite thing as a long-term wrestling fan. And, I realize it doesn't affect me as much as the average fan. I do, obviously friends work for WWE. I can get free tickets whenever I want them. But to look at the average fan and tell that person you got to pay $900 for a nosebleed seat at WrestleMania,
Yeah.
That's tough to do, man. That's tough to do, and not something that I'm interested in doing. So I will make sure that, no matter where we're going, at least in the near future, you're going to be able to get your $10 ticket if you want it.
And I respect I'm still going to make an effort to change your mind, but I just respect that hard line in the sand that you have drawn. I can tell you're very passionate about that point, and you make a lot of valid points with it. You really do. And so, yeah, you are in a tough position because you love SCW so much, and you love the students so much that at some point you gotta have somebody that can take the helm and help you steer SCW.
Yeah.
But if you don't have that person right now in mind and you've got all these other things going on, man, it's so hard on the heart when you have such a burning passion to do something and there's only so much time in the day to just keep afloat what you're doing currently.
Yeah, sure. And I do have a team of people who do help me with plenty of things,
Sure.
If it came down to it and I said I'm out, I don't think they would take over the mantle and say, well, we'll run it from here, and there's time to find those people.
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. I love doing this. I've been doing this since I was 17 years old. I'm 39 now. And there's no end in sight, at least for me, in the foreseeable future. So I'm gonna keep doing this as long as I can do it, as long as there's an audience for it, as long as people want to come to the gym and learn how to be pro wrestlers, as long as there's fans who want to spend their Friday nights and their Saturday nights at an SCW show. I'm gonna keep doing it because it's kind of what I've built my life around now, and it keeps me going.
We have to wrap this up, sadly.
Yeah.
We've been going for a while, and although this is amazing, but the first key to Hollywood is leave them wanting more, right?
Yeah, we can come back and do it again.
Dude, this has been so fun. I love doing this stuff. I love talking wrestling, and I love talking wrestling with another fan, too,
We're all fans.
Marek Brave, SCWPro big show coming up in April. That was an exclusive here at the Stern Center.
Stern Center, yeah. But I mean, before then,
You're gonna have a bunch of
October
shows.
11th in Bluegrass, November 15th in Bluegrass, December 5th or 6th in Iowa City. We're going all the time.
Go to Bluegrass. Get a $10 ticket while you can, because once I take you out for that beer, I'm going to change your mind. Get a $10 ticket while you can. October 11th, Bluegrass Community Center, another regular haunt of you guys, and you put on some great shows there. So pack the freaking house. Tell them Joe sent you.
Yes,
right?
Please do.
And Marek, this has been fun. Come back. We got to do the commentator thing, but we should probably kick it off next time you come back with that. Well, we still got a bunch of gas in the tank, but man, this has been fun, man.
I had a great time, Joe. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for giving me a platform to just talk about the things I love, man.
Yeah.
Things I love doing. It was a good time, and hey, you're pretty good at this stuff, so keep it up.
Well, thank you for saying that. And you're good at your stuff. So,
thank you.
you know what? Keep sending some wrestlers our way. I'd love to keep talking with the guys and gals. I would love to talk to some of the gals. Send me Tori Fox.
I will.
Because
absolutely.
all we've done is had a bunch of dude talk in here. I want to talk to Tori.
Yeah.
So.
And the females definitely have a unique perspective on the business that us guys just don't get.
Yeah. Marek Brave, everybody. Thanks again, man. And we'll see you when the next bell rings. See you guys later.